Welcome to Diplomatic Passport, your daily weekday COVID-19 show that keeps you up to date with developments the world over, in the region, and of course in Zimbabwe. My name is Robert Mkondiwa. We start with the statistics, and Zimbabwe now has 6,412 confirmed cases of COVID-19, including 202 deaths. Yes, we have hit that 200 mark, unfortunately, and 5,000 and 61 recoveries, which translates the national recovery rate to 80.3%. Now, 85 new cases of COVID-19 have been recorded in the last 24 hours, and these include 80 local transmission cases and 5 returnees from South Africa who have all been isolated. Now, unfortunately, 6 deaths were recorded in the last 24 hours, 3 from Bulawayo, 2 from Matabeleland South, and 1 from the Midlands province. Harare is still the epicenter of the virus with 2,541 cases, followed by Bulawayo, which now has 1,276 cases of COVID-19. Now, Zimbabwe, as I said, has reached the 200 COVID-19 death mark, which puts the mortality rate at 3.1% of COVID-19, which is quite a low number and gives us hope as we fight this virus. Also, the recovery rate now stands at 80.3%, which is 12% above the global average and 6% above the African continental average. Now, neighboring South Africa has one of the highest recovery rates on the continent at 85%. Now, to date, there are 5,061 people who have since recovered from the virus here in Zimbabwe. Now, the World Health Organization country representative, Dr. Alex Gasasira, spoke on the issue of recoveries in Zimbabwe.
Recovery rates we are seeing here in Zimbabwe should not be surprising. This is in line with what we are actually seeing in other parts of Africa, where between 70 to 80% of those who get confirmed infection actually recover. Having said that, 20% of people who get this infection will get severe or critical illness, and some of them will die.
Now, this recovery rate should not make us hasty to open schools, as reopening for the second term has been a subject for debate since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. This has created anxiety in pupils, particularly those set to write their final examinations at the end of the year, who are, of course, the most affected. Now, we caught up with an upper sixth form student, Ashley Muchirawehondo, who shared her anxieties as she prepares for examinations, having learned for just one term this year. Let's hear her speak.
I feel like as a students, we are not sure what to expect. It has been rushed and we haven't learned, and it's one of those, if you come out with a bad grade through this, what's next? It's quite difficult because you don't know what, because people have planned, I want to go to uni, after uni I want to do this and that, and now you're just there at home and you're trying to think what next with your life. So it's really, really unfortunate for us people who are in 2020 that we are stuck in this situation.
Now, you may know that last week we were talking to one of our in-house specialists here, Leroy Zenga, with regards to the education situation, and we were really going through this year and combing through and thinking, do we think our kids should write? Now, do you personally think that the 2020 academic year is a write-off, or our children should write their exams? Well, send us your opinions and contributions to my Twitter handle at Zimrobbie, that's ZIMROBBIE, or my email address on robinkondiwa@gmail.com. Now, people with underlying conditions have been the most vulnerable to COVID-19, and this has come with a wave of fear, especially among those people who are asthmatic, whose health problems align with COVID-19 symptoms. Now, according to Africa's Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, people with moderate to severe asthma may be at a higher risk of getting very sick from COVID-19. Now, COVID-19 can affect your nose, throat, lungs, that's the respiratory tract, and cause an asthma attack and possibly lead to pneumonia and acute respiratory disease. Now let's hear Dr. Brighton Chireka explain how one can separate COVID-19 symptoms from that of an asthma attack, and also what one should do in case they are suffering from both COVID-19 and asthma.
The message is, if you have got well-controlled asthma, you are not at high risk of getting a severe form of COVID. What has also been found, so if you do get COVID-19 and you've got asthma, what should you do? The message is that you should continue taking your medication. And how do you distinguish the symptoms of asthma and the symptoms of COVID? What we have found is that asthma, in most cases, you may not have a temperature, but COVID, you've got temperature. Because asthma, you find that you are having problems with breathing out. So you're wheezing, your obstruction is when you breathe out. But with COVID, what is being found is that you've got a problem in inhaling, breathing in. That's when you've got a challenge. So when you try to breathe in, that's when you've got a challenge. And also with COVID-19, we are finding that you've got other symptoms like loss of taste, loss of smell. This does not happen in asthma. So that's how you can distinguish that my symptoms are not my usual asthma. I've got loss of taste, loss of smell, I've got temperature, and also you may have other symptoms like diarrhea and vomiting, which is showing that you've got COVID. So you need to be tested for COVID.
Perhaps we just zero in on the small things, that loss of your faculties, like just your sense of smell. Well, that's one of the signs to tell you that you are most probably faced with COVID-19, and this is not an ordinary asthma attack. Now, we're 8 months into the COVID-19 pandemic, and it is natural that people now yearn for a return to the old normal as they want to get on with their lives, which of course have been somehow put on hold. Now, World Health Organization WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus said that in as much as we're not in the most comfortable position, we cannot pretend that the pandemic is over. Now, this virus spreads easily, and we all must remain serious about suppressing its transmission and saving lives and remaining vigilant.
8 months into the pandemic, we understand that people are tired and yearn to get on with their lives. At the same time, no country can just pretend the pandemic is over. We believe there are 4 essential things that all countries, communities, and individuals must focus on to take control. First, prevent amplifying events. In many countries, we have seen explosive outbreaks linked to gatherings of people at stadiums, nightclubs, places of worship, and in other crowds. Second, reduce deaths by protecting vulnerable groups, including older people, those with underlying conditions, and essential workers. Third, individuals must play their part by taking the measures we know work to protect themselves and others. Stay at least 1 meter away from others. Clean your hands regularly. Practice respiratory etiquette and wear a mask. Avoid the 3 C's: closed spaces, crowded places, and close contact settings. And fourth, governments must take tailored actions to find, isolate, test, and care for cases, and trace and quarantine contacts. And above all, national unity and global solidarity are essential. This virus thrives when we are divided. When we are united, we can defeat it.
Now, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has put a lot of things to a halt, but of course, certainly not ours, as people still need to make a living under not so comfortable circumstances. Now, the struggle to put food on one's table is probably as old as humanity itself. But for locals in Zimbabwe's Tegutu district, gathering as much as they can is a painstaking exercise. They're searching for gold in a dump site. The following feature takes us deep into the dirt in search of this story of gold. 22-year-old Aponia Magoni rummages through rubble at a dump site near a local gold mine. The dump site at Pickstone Peerless Gold Mine in Chegutu district, 100 kilometers southwest of Harare, is where Magoni and her colleagues eke out a living. Every day, tipper trucks from the mine dump heaps of debris after extraction of gold. The rubble carries tiny residue of gold ore. Daily, Magoni and her colleagues dig into this debris to fend for their families.
Takatanga kuya kuno tichitesta matombo kuona kuti ane mari here. Saka taitesta pabhara taiwana kana kuti 2 points kana 3 points. Kupedzisira takungoyo tichishanda kuno kuti tichitsvaga kurarama.
A point of the precious metal fetches about $4 United States on the local market. Local parlance for 0.1 gram of gold. 60-year-old Diana Chiveta is one of the tinsel-seeking muckrakers, women living off foraging the mine dump. She finds the arduous undertaking worthwhile.
Tikatakura saizvozvi ndinoenda nawo kwaMamiro ndonogaisa ndomabatawo madhaka acho ndoona kuti mapoindi pangu itoto.
But there is no such thing as a free lunch, or rather free gold, in case of these women. Running battles with security personnel from the mine punctuate their quest to live off the dumped remains.
Ukamhanyiswa sekumhanyiswa kwavari kutiita. Unokwaniswa kuchekwa kana nedombo, ukachekwa nedombo, kana kurumiswa nembwa. Kana mwati wangovanawo vamwe vane tsitsi kana vari magadhi vane tsitsi vangokwanisa kuti kana wadonhawo zvakaipa kana vakakuona kuti wakuwara ungokuti wosumuka uende kupi kumba. Kana vamwe vasinawo tsitsi vanongokubata zvakadaro wokuisa mumota woenda nemi kumaofisi avo wokurova vozokutakura iwe kuendesai kuChegutu.
Pickstone Peerless Mine General Manager Mr. Japhet Makwasha would not answer his mobile phone when ZTN called for a comment. But he would later respond via text message saying, "Please put in a formal letter stating what you need to know from us. Regards." Regardless, the gold hunters hunt on, all the while wary of the security hunting pack, like wildlife on the African plains. National Assembly representative for Chegutu West, Dexter Nduna, wants a mutually beneficial agreement between the mine and locals to ensure that there are no beggars on a dump of gold, ensuring a win-win for both parties.
What is supposed to happen, they're supposed to be formalized in a way that they form cooperatives, and the Pickstone mine itself or Breakridge Resources are supposed to cooperate with them. They are supposed to go and dump that rubble, which they call rubble, which is called money by these women, so that the women can derive benefit out of the rubble that is being blasted and being thrown away in a very careless manner by Pickstone Peerless Mine.
In the meantime, the muckrackers rack on. Muck on one side, fortune on the other, ensuring food on the table and a little bit more. Robin Kundiwa, ZTN. Well, that sums it up, and that's all for today. Keep those contributions coming to my Twitter handle, of course, at Zimrobie, ZIMROBBIE, and my email address on robinkundiwa@gmail.com. So from me and the entire team behind the scenes, thank you all for staying at home and staying safe. We'll catch you later again tomorrow at around the same time. And, of course, have a great night.